A prophecy written more than 2 millennia ago is now the center of attention. It was revealed to a young Hebrew captive in Babylon at a time when empires decided the fate of the world. But what Daniel saw went far beyond his own time. He described a succession of kingdoms, conflicts, fragile alliances, and finally, the emergence of an eternal kingdom that would put an end to all others. Many have studied this prophecy as something from the past. Others have ignored it completely. But now, in 2025, the signs are impossible to ignore. We are seeing unlikely alliances, global political tensions, collapsing systems, and increasingly united religious movements. What does this mean? Is Daniel's prophecy being fulfilled before our eyes? Before we continue, enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave your thoughts on the book of Daniel in the comments. Historical context of Daniel's prophecy. It all begins around 605 BC. The people of Judah are conquered and taken captive to Babylon. Among the exiles is a young Hebrew named Daniel, who quickly stands out for his wisdom, faith, and integrity. One night, the powerful king Nebuchadnezzar has a disturbing dream. No wise man in the empire is able to explain it, until Daniel, guided by God, reveals the dream and its interpretation. In the dream, a huge statue appears before the king. Head of gold, the Babylonian Empire, ruled by Nebuchadnezzar. Chest and arms of silver, the Medo-Persian Empire, which would follow. Belly and thighs of bronze, the Greek dominion, led by Alexander the Great. Legs of iron, the power and brutality of Rome. Feet of iron mixed with clay, a phase of divided, unstable kingdoms that would never completely unite again. But the climax of the vision is not in the statue. Daniel sees a stone cut without human hands. It strikes the statue at the feet, and everything collapses. The statue is reduced to dust, and the stone grows into a mountain that fills the whole earth. Daniel explains. This stone is the kingdom of God. A kingdom that will never be destroyed, and that will replace all human kingdoms. This was not just a vision of the past, but a prophetic timeline that takes us to the end of Earth's history. And the question is inevitable, where in this prophecy are we living now? The most overlooked prophetic point, the feet of iron and clay. Among all the elements of the statue, perhaps the most enigmatic is precisely the last, the feet made of iron mixed with clay. Daniel describes this part as a mixture that does not stick together, just as iron and clay do not mix. This weakness at the base symbolizes a time when kingdoms would be divided, with unstable alliances, strong nations alongside fragile ones, and constant attempts at unification, all failing. Daniel 2 verse 43 states, "As for what you saw of iron mixed with clay, they will mix through intermarriage, but they will not hold together, just as iron does not mix with clay." This image points to the final phase of history before divine intervention. The feet of the statue do not represent a single empire, but an era of political fragility, cultural confusion, and unsuccessful attempts at forced union. If we look around today, what do we see? Countries divided internally. Alliances between nations with opposing interests. Growing instability at all levels. The prophecy suggests that it is at this time, and not before, that the stone, symbol of the kingdom of God, strikes the statue and ends human rule. In other words, the feet of iron and clay are not just the end of the statue. They are our time. Current signs pointing to 2025. In recent years, the world has entered a phase of constant tension. Wars and rumors of wars have intensified in various regions. Political, economic, and climate crises are multiplying on every continent. But is all this just a coincidence? Jesus, when speaking about the signs of the end, said in Matthew 24 verse 6, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass." Today, we can observe armed conflicts spread across the Middle East, Europe, and Africa. Collapsing economies, record inflation, and unstable central banks. A growing movement toward a unifying global agenda, with an emphasis on digital control, unique identity, virtual currencies, and social monitoring. And perhaps most alarming, religions and governments joining forces to promote messages of peace and security. This union, between civil and spiritual powers, echoes what John saw in Revelation. A global alliance in the name of harmony, but one that will result in persecution of prophetic truths. And why 2025? Because several international organizations, religious institutions, and political entities have already announced decisive goals for that year. Some talk about redefining the global economy. Others talk about establishing new religious and environmental standards. It is not a matter of accurately predicting prophetic dates. But the signs, all together, point to an extremely symbolic and critical moment in recent history. Perhaps we are facing an unprecedented convergence, where Daniel's prophecy begins to make sense as never before. And you? Can you see these signs around you? Leave a comment about what has caught your attention the most in 2025. If this prophecy is indeed being fulfilled in our day, every detail matters. The Adventist view of Daniel and the last days. For the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the book of Daniel is not just a historical account. It is a prophetic key to understanding the final events of human history. One of the pillars of this understanding is found in Daniel 8 verse 14. Until 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary shall be cleansed. Adventists interpret this text as marking the beginning of a decisive heavenly event. The investigative judgment, a process that began in 1844, at the end of the 2,300 evenings and mornings. This judgment is not symbolic. For Adventists, it is real and marks the final phase of the plan of salvation. It is a time when the records of humanity are being reviewed in heaven, before the return of Christ. But there is more. In Daniel 12 verse 4, we find another essential detail. But you, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, until the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Adventists believe that this time of the end has already begun. We live in an age of multiplying knowledge, especially in the field of prophecy. Understanding that has been sealed for centuries is now being revealed. Therefore, for Adventists, Daniel is not just a book of the past. It is a prophetic guide for today. It helps to identify modern deceptions disguised as spirituality, dangerous alliances between church and state, and global movements that fit the prophecy of the image of the beast. While many see political, economic, and social crises as isolated events, Adventists see a prophetic thread connecting it all. A scenario that points to the final outcome of history. And that is why 2025 attracts so much attention. Not only because of the signs in the world, but because these signs coincide with what Daniel saw more than 2,500 years ago. What to expect from 2025? While no prophetic timeline sets exact dates, the signs we have been coming together in an unprecedented convergence. It is not a matter of accurately predicting the day or hour, but of recognizing the signs that point to a decisive milestone in human history. Some points to watch for in the coming months. Legislation and political decisions. New regulations and significant changes on the international scene may be in line with what prophecy suggests about a time of transition and instability. Ecumenical movements and alliances between religions and governments. We see intensified efforts to promote a unification of ideologies and belief systems, which may end up obscuring or reinterpreting historical and prophetic truths. Economic and social crises. Persistent global economic difficulties, inflation, unemployment, and social inequalities reinforce the feeling that we are at the beginning of a turbulent period. Technological advancement and digital control. The rapid development of surveillance technologies and large-scale digitization may act as tools of a new order, in which individual freedom is constantly being tested. In short, 2025 may not be the end, per se, but it symbolizes a phase of transformation where old structures are being questioned and replaced. It is a time to be attentive, to understand the signs, and above all, to prepare spiritually and intellectually for the changes that are looming on the horizon. If you have been following these events, it may be a call to reflect on the teachings of the prophecies and take a stand in the face of the challenges that lie ahead. Daniel's prophecy was never just a theological curiosity. It is, first and foremost, a solemn warning for the last days of human history. Every element revealed in Nebuchadnezzar's dream has been fulfilled, one after another, with impressive accuracy. And now, before us, are the feet of iron and clay. An unstable, divided, fragile time, where alliances break, kingdoms rise and fall quickly, and the truth seems increasingly stifled. What Daniel saw did not end in the past. It is unfolding before our eyes. And 2025 may mark the turning point, where masks fall, intentions are revealed, and the time for preparation becomes more urgent than ever. But this message is not meant to cause panic. It is an invitation to prepare. To be vigilant. To have faith. The kingdom of God, symbolized by the stone that destroys the statue, is coming. And the most important question now is: are you ready for this kingdom? If this message touched your heart, don't leave without leaving your answer. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on upcoming content. Comment below on what you think about Daniel's prophecy and the signs we are seeing in 2025. This way, you help us continue to spread the prophetic truth while we still have the freedom to do so. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Time is short. And the truth can no longer be ignored.